What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting every single upcoming main event for this year in 2024. There's a couple fights or a couple cards that aren't announced for the main event, but that's only two. Every other card, every other main event we have announced for the rest of this year. We're just waiting on the main event for UFC 310, which is the December pay-per-view, and then we're waiting for the main event of the UFC Tampa, Florida Fight Night card, which is the last card of the year. But apart from that, we got every single main event on the book, so I am going to be giving my early prediction and breakdown for every single fight. I've made up my mind for most of these. Some of them I might flip around on. I haven't watched any tape on them yet, of course. But yeah, we'll see how it gets we'll see how I go when we get to fight night or fight week. And if my predictions change, but for now, this is who I'm leaning in all of the up-and-coming main events. You let me know your predictions in the comments. But yeah, let's get started with this weekend's main event. So, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I cannot afford to lose, my brother. Let me tell you something. Paddy Pimlich, easy money. Charles Oliveira, not so easy. But I do think that BSD is going to beat Renato Moicano now. Money Moik, he might not afford to lose, or he can't afford to lose, but I think he's going to lose. And I think BSD is going to beat him up and KO him or TKO him inside 3 rounds. That is my official prediction for this fight. Obviously, this is one that I have made up my mind on. I'm not going to flip around on this because the card's in like 2 days. So I am going to be picking BSD to win. My official call is round 2 TKO. I think the fight is going to look quite similar to the Thiago Moises fight. And then I in terms of the first round, I think the second round is going to kind of look similar to the Gabriel Miranda finish, if you guys watched that fight. Like, I think the Moises fight, if you watched that one, it's going to look a lot like that. There's going to be some offensive grappling from both guys. I think Moicano is going to try and push some takedowns. Maybe they kind of stand for a bit. BSD rushes in like a retard with his chin up in the air. But Moicano doesn't quite have the power or the clean striking of Dustin Poirier, so I think he'll be okay. I don't think BSD is going to get dropped or cracked. Maybe he gets like stunned with a shot, but similar to Moises. Like, Moises is not a power puncher. He caught BSD, but he didn't really hurt him, and then BSD just kept swinging at him. I think that's what it's going to look like with Moicano. Moicano might land a few shots, realize there's no chance he's dropping this guy on the feet, and he's just going to be imposing his will. Moicano shoots a takedown, maybe gets it. BSD uses his strength, kind of strength-based takedown, get up. Maybe Moicano takes it back or something, but I think BSD doesn't get held down for too long, ends back up on the feet. They have a nice exchange at the end. Second round, they come out. BSD maybe wears on him with some grappling, and then Moicano probably gets back up, and then I reckon some big exchange against the fence, lands some big meaty hooks combination, some Lucas Tracy special combination. I can't believe Lucas retired before BSD's fight. Come on, man. Like, if BSD lost, I get it. Go retire Lucas, but like, bro, come on, you've still got someone to live for. Your boyfriend's fighting. But no, BSD, I think, is going to land some big meaty hooks combo, drop Moicano, not like KO him, like flatline out cold, but similar to the Fiziev combo, I reckon, is what it's going to look like. Moicano's going to get a couple shots of ground and pound, maybe protest the stoppage, and the France crowd is going to go crazy. So I'm picking Moicano to lose this fight. I'm picking BSD by round 2 TKO, and I think it's going to be a really fun fight for as long as it lasts. Let's move on, though, to the next main event. Next up, we move to Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr. Now, this fight is going to be fun. It's going to be explosive for as long as it lasts, but I do think Alex Pereira is going to come out on top with the victory by TKO, and I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable win for Botan. Now, look, maybe the Joe Rogan glazed stars align and we get that. Alex Pereira, people forget, man, he's made of mahogany. But Khalil Rountree, he fights like people owe him money. He went to Thailand. He came back a completely different guy. So, like, maybe we get Joe Rogan, just like the Roganisms, Joe Rogan quotes that he always says during every pay. The steel cups, man. They'll provide a fulcrum for armbars. Those Muay Thai steel cups. He's going to find a way to use all of the Roganisms, the mahogany, the fucking Alex Pereira. What he's done, it's incredible. Like, all this stuff, that is a scary... Khalil Rountree, Rogan's going to just be fucking jerking himself off this entire fight. And we'll see who comes out on top in terms of, like, who is more glazed or who does Rogan have more fucking quotes about. But no, I do think Pereira's going to win because Khalil Rountree, although he fights like people owe him money, which people won't shut the fuck up about because there's clips of him beating up Carl Roberson and Chris Dorcas. Like if there was a clip of him doing that to fucking Jan Blachowicz, I'd be like, all right, let's pay attention to Khalil Rountree, guys. Like he's a real threat. But like, yeah, anyone can swing aggressively and be powerful. He's finishing bombs. No one that he's finished like that is good. His best win is Anthony Smith. He robbed Jacoby. He lost to Marcin Prachnio. You know, people think because he stomped out fucking Bukowskis' knee, he's literally just like prime fucking John Jones for some reason. I don't think Rountree's very good, and maybe this comes back to bite me, and maybe he just levels up beyond belief and looks like a fucking just the GOAT of the sport and has just a once-in-a-lifetime performance. But I do think Pereira is going to get the win. I might just pick him by a head kick as well, just because it's in Salt Lake City, and it would be fitting for us to get a head kick finish. Now, maybe somehow Rountree gets the head kick finish. Rountree's pretty short, Pereira's pretty tall. I don't think Rountree's foot's going to get up that high. But yeah, I'm going to pick Poatan to win by round 1 or 2, either late round 1 or early round 2, TKO. It would be kind of cool to just see him go out there and just immediately KO him like in a minute. That would be ideal. Just so any of the people who are actually thinking like Rountree's like a technical good striker, is gonna like he lost to Kutalaba and Johnny Walker. Like I'm not fucking picking you to beat Alex Pereira, and he's not a grappler either. Maybe he just turns into fucking D1 Rountree and shoots the first takedown of his career. But I do think Poatan is going to keep it on the feet, if it even needs to be kept on the feet, which I don't think it will. Maybe he fucking takes down the Rountree, who knows? Maybe he subs Khalil Rountree. But I am going to be picking Poatan to win by round 1. TKO is going to be my prediction with a left hook. But I'd love a head kick just to fit the Salt Lake City theme. Anyway, let's move on though to the next main event. So we got Tatsuro Taira versus Brandon Royval. We're back in the Apex for the first time since the start of September with the Burns and Brady card. This should be a pretty fun fight, to be honest. Like I'm actually quite looking forward to this one. This is the first real test, in my opinion, of Tatsuro Taira's career. Like the Perez fight, you can call Perez a test. Perez is definitely a test, but apart from that, he really hasn't beaten anyone super high level. But I'm just excited to see if he can just implement his grappling as easily as he has done in the past, because, you know, we know how much Tatsuro Taira loves to beat a Latino opponent and send them back across the border, because that's what he's been doing his entire career. Literally all of his opponents are Mexican or of Mexican heritage. And Royval fits that theme, so we could see him beat Royval, and then, you know, maybe we get him versus Moreno. Pantoja, you know, he's not Mexican, but is from South America, so that probably is good enough. So we're going to see how good Tatsuro Taira is. Now, he opened up at like minus 300. Since then, the odds have closed is around minus 180. I am going to pick Tatsuro Taira. I am going to pick him by submission, and I think he's going to do it how Pantoja did it in the first fight. Now, I know Pantoja didn't sub him in the second, so you could say, oh, Royval's really improved. I think Royval definitely is improved, but I also think Pantoja was just a different fucking... I think, like, you can say he's better now as a champion, but I think he's less just crazy going for submissions, and I think he's more focused on a lot of control. But Tatsuro Taira, once he gets a hold of you, once he actually gets your back or gets something, I just don't see how Royval's going to survive over, like, a minute with Taira on his back. Now, maybe I'm overrating Tatsuro Taira, but, I mean, like, Royval looked alright against Moreno, but he didn't look that good, and Moreno also looked pretty shit, just throwing overhands the entire time, forgot how to throw a jab, and there wasn't much grappling in that fight either. So, yeah, I do think Tatsuro Taira is going to show the weaknesses in the grappling of Royval that we have seen in the past. He has been in trouble in the grappling with other guys before, and I think it could end up even looking like a Pantoja-Perez type scenario, where Taira kind of just bum rushes him and uses his kind of weirdly big frame. I know Royval's like a decently sized guy for flyweight, but Taira's like, I think, probably going to be a bit bigger and also got a bit more size on him too. And he might just bum rush him and just get his back and just choke him out. And I was like, what the fuck? He just won. So that's what I think we could end up seeing. Maybe it's a dragged out fight. Maybe it goes to the scorecards. We see like a close decision. If Royval wins, I definitely think it's a decision. I don't think Royval's quite got the stopping power to just KO Taira, whose striking did actually look pretty solid against Perez. So yeah, I do think Taira's going to win. I do think he's going to show out well. And he's like 23. He's going to be improving. I know Royval's motivated after losing the belt. I just don't think he gets back there. I just hope the flyweight division is not that cursed where we have to deal with Pantoja or Royval 3, because that would just be dismal. But yeah, my prediction, Tatsuro Taira round 2 submission with a rear naked choke. That's how I'm going to predict this fight. Let's move on, though, to the next card. Next, we're back in the Apex for the 19th of October for UFC Vegas 99, and the main event is Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez, and this is an interesting one. This is one where I might flip back and forth on. I think Hernandez is going to be a favourite, and I think it is for good reason, because, look, if I think it's kind of one of those fights where I'm predicting based on, like, if it goes past round one, I do think Hernandez will drown him and probably get, like, a third-round submission or third-round ground-and-pound TKO. But I think Michel Pereira is just a bit too dangerous early, and I think he's just got the danger to catch and hurt Fluffy, who has been hurt to the body, who has been finished early by Kevin Holland. I know he looked good against Kopylov, and I know he looked good against... has he fought since Kopylov? I don't think he has. Kopylov was his last fight. Am I tripping? Yeah, it was, because he was scheduled to fight Dolidze, and then he pulled out. So yeah, he hasn't fought since Kopylov, and apart from that, Shabazian. I'm just going to say, Shabazian lost to Gerald Meerschaert a fight after that, or 2 fights after that. So, like, the Shabazian win's not all that. And Kopylov's, like, solid, but he's kind of gasses out a little bit. I know people are going to gas out against Hernandez, like, that's what he does. But I'm just yet now, okay, I'm going to contradict myself, because yes, Michel Pereira has not beaten anyone that good at middleweight. Like, Petrosky, that's not a terrible win. Like, Petrosky's actually a solid win, but Oleksiejczuk and Potieri are both pretty shit. But, like, still, he's smoking guys inside a minute, with his Hernandez kind of dragging him out into the second or third, getting a late TKO. So I do think, and I think Hernandez's style might not translate quite as well to some of those top guys that have better takedown defense, better conditioning, and better actual striking, who can actually put offense on him back. Compared to Pereira, where I think his style can kind of, like, his style is just go out there and be aggressive as fuck and KO you. Like, maybe that just stops working at an elite level. But I actually am going to back him to win, and I'm back him to win by a round 1 TKO based off like a body kick or a body shot or a knee. And I think he's going to just be too strong. And fair play if Hernandez can survive the storm and just be tough enough, because I think he's going to get like 10-8'd in the first. Unless he gets an early takedown. Like, if Pereira just like lands a big shot on him and doesn't finish him, it's going to be a rough first round for Hernandez, and he's really going to need to survive and bite down on the mouthpiece, as Lucas Tracy would say. But I think Pereira's going to get him early and catch him with a body kick and hurt him, and then just be way too big, too physical, and just put him away with like punches on the ground. And it's going to be a bad visual for the ref, and he's going to stop it. So yeah, that's my prediction, is Michel Pereira, round 1 TKO. I'm not set on this one, but I also just like Pereira, and I want him to win. And I like Hernandez too. Fluffy's cool, but I just like Michel Pereira. And if he can get, because what would this be? I think because he fought, Petrosky last year in October. So this would be basically 4 wins in the space of a year. And if he does this one in the same fashion he's done the last ones, like, imagine he just goes out there and gets back to back round 1 TKOs inside like 2 minutes. So that'd be kind of nuts. So that's what I'm rooting for. I like Michel Pereira. I've got him on my channel banner with a few of the other fighters that I think could potentially be champions, or that I want to be champions at least. So yeah, I'm going to pick Fluffy to lose. I'm picking Michel Pereira by round 1 TKO. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Topuria versus Maximus Holloway. I'm going to be picking Topuria to win. I've been on this prediction for a while. I'm not going to change on this one. I do believe that Ilya is going to win. I think he's just better than Holloway. I think he's a better striker. I think he's more powerful. Holloway's got a better chin, but I think Ilya's got better grappling. I don't think Holloway's cardio advantage is like crazy, where he's just going to drown Ilya and turn him into Calvin Kattar. I also don't think Holloway's level of striking, or the difference in striking, is that vast. Plus, I actually think Ilya's better. People have been calling Holloway the best boxer at featherweight, acting like he didn't get 50-45 by Volk on the feet in the trilogy. No grappling involved. Not even that many kicks. It wasn't like the first fight was all leg kicks. Like, people they forget. They've got selective fucking memory and just select to ignore that fight ever happening and just call Holloway the best boxer because he gets cool KOs. Like, yeah, you can get cool KOs, but all I'm saying is Volkanovski beat the fuck out of him with pretty much only his hands and on the feet for that trilogy. Yeah, there was leg kicks, whatever. But, like, he outstruck him for 5 rounds, 50-45 consistently, and left him looking like a bloody mess. And it's when Holloway, and even Holloway against Allen, didn't look crazy good. Like, he looked technical, he looked more patient, but it's like, people watch him fight Ortega and Cater, who have shit defense but a good chin, and then he uses them as a punching bag, and then they think he's just doing that to everyone. He doesn't do that to everyone. Gaethje's defense sucks as well. I don't know why I picked Gaethje in hindsight. He's just not nearly as technically good as Holloway. But I think Ilya's technique is way better. I think he's way more powerful. I could see him dropping Holloway and not like KOing him, but like I could see an Ilya TKO. But I am going to go with a 49-46, 48-47 decision where some of the Holloway fans will be coping and acting like it was a robbery, even though Ilya is clearly going to win like the first three, arguably win the fourth, and then Holloway's going to win the fifth, maybe. And then they're going to act like it's a fucking robbery. And we're going to see some, like, I know Guru's picking Topuria, I'm pretty sure, but, like, we're going to see some sort of video like that of, like, oh, Holloway won this fight, but the Holloway fans going to be crying robbery in the comments, even though it's going to be a clear Ilya win. But I could see an Ilya TKO early as well. Similar sort of time frame to how the Volk fight went, maybe like a feeling out process. Holloway's looking not too bad. Ilya kind of lands a big combo back end of the first round. Second round, Holloway's kind of starting to get into it, and then Ilya just cracks him bad and puts him to a knee and like swarms him and just lands a bunch of big shots, gets the finish. I could see that happening as well, but I think the safe bet is a decision win for Ilya Topuria. And I don't like Ilya. People are going to say, oh, you're glazing Ilya. No, I don't even like Ilya. Ilya's just really good. I think Ilya's one of the fighters that doesn't actually get glazed, because I think he rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, and a lot of people don't like him. So the people that actually are crediting him are just reasonable and sensible, because some people are just acting like this guy's just some loudmouth who got lucky to win the belt. As much as I didn't want him to beat Volk, and I hate that result happening, he fucking KO'd Volk, and it's very impressive. So yeah, I think Ilya's going to win. I think he's going to beat Max, and I just don't see Max getting the belt back at this stage of his career. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, we move to Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi, which is taking place in Edmonton, Canada, because we've got a Mexican and an Iraqi fighting in Canada, because that's what we do. Because Canada's got no top fighters, and in the co-main event, we got two Americans, and then in the feature fight, we got an American against a Brazilian, because Canada's just washed. And then after that, the next fight, we got Nascimento versus Romanov. We got a Brazilian versus a Moldovan. Crazy how the top four fights of the card have 0 Canadians. That's tough. UFC finally realized you can't just do an entire card of Canadians because they all suck. And they all lose. Like Mike Malott. But no, all seriousness, let's talk about the main event only. We'll give my predictions when the time comes. But I am 50-50 on this fight, and I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Kai Kara France versus Albazi, and I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Royval versus Moreno. Because my immediate, my memory of that Moreno fight was that he looked completely dog shit, and he just threw overhands the whole time. But then I also remember it was a split decision and people thought it was arguable for Moreno. So maybe he looked okay. And I'm going to have to rewatch and see just how good his striking was. And then I'm going to have to also rewatch him versus Pantoja and see how well I think he can defend the takedowns and defend the grappling of Albazi. Because I think Pantoja's pretty clearly got better jiu-jitsu, but Albazi's got solid wrestling. My memory of Albazi is just non-existent because he fights like once every year and a half. His last fight was in June of last year. He's about to fight in November. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's been out for like 17 months. So that's interesting. So I'm going to go back and see how good he looked against Kai, because I know for a fact that fight was a robbery. Like, Kai won that, but I want to see just how much of a robbery. I can't fucking say my R's right. I got a lisp. Don't make fun of me for it. I'm sure you will. But yeah, I think Albazi, I do think that fight was an unjustified decision, but I also want to see how good he looked, because I do remember he looked good at moments, and I want to see how good his striking looked too, because I'm still not sure. I kind of could see, and I have a bad feeling Moreno's going to show up looking completely washed. Hopefully not. I'd love to see Moreno show up like he did against fucking Figueiredo and choke this inbred out. Of course, I got no issue with Amir Albazi. You know, he's a great person. But I just don't want him to succeed in life. So yeah, I want Moreno to win. I have my heart wants Moreno. My head's telling me Albazi. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch some tape and see how I feel in my head about who's going to win. So as of right now, I'll lean a split decision, 48-47 Moreno. and I think he'll get it done, but I'm going to not set on this one. This is one of my less confident predictions. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Now, UFC Vegas 100 takes place November 9th. It's the 100th anniversary of the Apex, and if the rumors of the UFC going away for construction and undergoing renovations and being closed after this card, if the rumors of those are correct, then we're not going to see this for a while. So the UFC Apex 100 card might be the send-off for a little bit at least, and hopefully they can see more events in crowds. But this card does not have a main event. So you see on screen, you see Movzar and Aljamain Sterling, and then you see Yair Rodriguez and Arnold Allen. And the reason why you see those is because those are my guesses for potential main events. Now, I have no insight to this. This is not like a source has told me or anything like that. I've literally asked and they both said no clue. And those are both credible sources who just don't know what's going to main event the card. Now, I was looking down the rankings and I was kind of trying to think who's going to main event. Like, just please don't be some shitty heavyweight fight. Please don't be some women's fight. So that's like optimistics. Maybe we see like a Fiziev main event against someone. Maybe we see like a like some bantamweight like Song Yadong, Henry Cejudo, or one of those, like a Song Yadong main event, which I doubt though, because why would he not just fight 2 weeks later and fight in China though? Middleweight fight, maybe we see like a Vettori versus like a Hermanson or something like that rematch. I don't know. I'm just trying to think like a light heavyweight fight, maybe like a Blachowicz type matchup. Not sure. But featherweight was the division where I was like, yeah, this does kind of make sense. Now, obviously, Aljo versus Movzar, the reason I say that is because that fight got temporarily cancelled. It's pushed back. It's not happening at 307. But it seems like Aljo's like, I'm ready to go in like a month. So maybe they just try and run this fight like a month from 307 and say, yo, fight in the Apex main event, do this. Because it's like already a fight they know they can put together because the guys have basically already signed the contracts for 307. So they can easily get this done. It wouldn't take them too much time. Another option is Arnold Allen versus Yair. Now, this is kind of less likely, but also a solid option. Now, I'll just say, my prediction for Movzar and Aljo, I think is Movzar winning via just being a bit too strong. I will say decision. No surprise, it's a Movzar fight. I would go like a 48-47. Maybe Aljo wins the last 2 rounds. Movzar kind of gasses a little bit, but I think he's going to be too physical for him. If it was an Arnold Allen-Yair fight, I would probably lean towards Arnold Allen just because I rely and I rate his actual experience, or not experience, but his IQ and his well-roundedness and also his cardio a little bit better. And even his boxing is pretty solid. I don't think he's going to get KO'd by a head kick or some crazy shit from Yair. So these would be 2 really good options, I think, for the main events of that card. If it ends up being some other fight, I'll do a prediction when that gets announced or whatever. But for now, I still want to mention the event, even though it doesn't have an announced main event. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fight. Next up, we got Jonathan Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I am going to be leaning towards Stipe. Look, I know people are going to call me retarded. I'm going to just do this and fucking do it for the fun of it, because who cares? It's only worth one pick. Some people will laugh at me if I get it wrong, but fuck it. I'm going to be the guy, and I'm going to fucking pick Stipe and have fun. Because sometimes predictions are about having fun, and that's what I'm going to do. Because everyone's going to pick Jon Jones, and I'm interested though. What is your prediction if you're picking Jon Jones? Are you predicting him by like round 3 or 4 submission? Do you think are you a casual and think he's going to do what he did to Gane against Stipe and just take him down immediately? Because I don't think that's going to happen. I also think Jones is just not that good at this stage of his career. I think his striking looked awful against Gane. I think Jones is incredibly overrated at striking. Like, he gets caught by punches. And if Stipe doesn't show up completely washed, which is a big if because he's 42 and he uses a cane to walk. So in hindsight, this is going to end up looking like a terrible prediction because, like, logically Jones is probably the pick. But he's not that much younger. Like, Jones is also getting up there. He's 37. He's pretty old. Coming off a bad injury to pectoral injury. I don't follow NFL and stuff, but I know. I heard from a lot of people saying, like, a lot of the experts say, like, when guys in the NFL injure their pec muscle or whatever, or they tear something in their chest, it fucks them up, and it can be a career-ending injury for a lot of guys. So maybe Jones shows up and looks shit. Maybe he re-injures it in the fight, in which case Stipe capitalize on that. Stipe's also just a bigger frame than Jones, I think. I know Stipe's a pretty He used to walk around pretty light at a heavyweight, or he would fight pretty light around the 230s, 240s. Jones, I think, fought like 250 against Garner, but Jones looked fat against Garner. He looked slow. So maybe he comes in better shape here, a bit quicker. But even Jones, I don't see Jones just dancing on the outside and schooling Stipe on the feet. I don't see him KOing him. Because in my opinion, to beat Stipe, 3 of his 4 losses are all by TKO. Now, he lost to Stefan Struve. That was a terrible look, but he got eye poked and then he got finished, whatever. And then the 2 DC fight. No, 1 DC fight, sorry, and then the Ngannou fight. He beat DC twice. And then the other loss was JDS decision, which he avenged. But every single one of his losses, apart from the JDS fight, are by KO or TKO. And it's big, imposing guys that fucking just KO you and crack you. Cormier has power. Ngannou's got fucking crazy power. I don't think Jones has that much punching power. Maybe he head kicks Stipe. Doubt it. Jones head kicked Cormier, who's 5'9". Like, I don't think Jones is just going to KO him with a fucking spinning elbow. People see highlights of him, like, doing the spinning elbow against Gustafsson. Probably the most replayed shot that didn't end in a KO blow, apart from the fucking Showtime Pettis kick. Probably the most, replayed strike that didn't actually end up finishing someone was that spinning elbow against Gustafsson, which, reminder, was at UFC 165 or some shit, or 167. That was fucking ages ago. So I don't think Jones is going to show up looking like that. Stipe's bigger, I think he's stronger, I think he's a more natural heavyweight, and he's got power too. Like, this guy KOs people. He put out Verdum on the back foot. He put out Cormier in their second fight. He beat him up in the third fight. Stipe's a fucking real good fighter, man. Now, maybe he just shows up completely cooked and completely washed, in which case, yeah, Jones is probably just going to, lay and pray him a little bit, do some bullshit. And also, one benefit for Jones, this fight will be taking place with the new rules, so knees to a grounded opponent will be allowed, 12 to 6 elbows will be allowed. So maybe he gets on top of Stipe and just beats him up. But Stipe got taken down by DC with that high crotch in the rematch when Stipe got the comeback. But apart from that, I feel like he doesn't get taken down too much. He's not just got some Mark Hunt level takedown defense, just getting blown over by a gust of wind. So I'm actually leading Stipe if he doesn't show up completely cooked and washed. And also, it's positive thinking. Someone's got to do it. Someone has to not just go with the doom and gloom of John Jones is going to win and ride off into the sunset, and we're going to get a 30-minute post-fight interview from Dana White solely talking about John Jones' legacy. It's like, hey, Dana, why did you think about Charles Oliveira with the TKO in the co-main event? Guys, John Jones is a whole nother level to Charles Oliveira. When I tell you about John Jones, this guy is his cock in my mouth regularly. Period. And if you fucking disagree with that, you're a fucking moron and you don't deserve to be doing any of the rankings ever. That's what we're going to get, and I don't want to live in that world where Jones ducks Aspinall and just rides off into the sunset and the casual fans acts like he would have fucking destroyed anyone. That's what I don't want, so I'm going to pick Stipe and be positive. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, we got the UFC Macau main event on November 23rd between Davison Figueiredo and Petr Yan. And I'm going to be picking Petr Yan to win this fight by unanimous decision. 48-47 is going to be my call. And that's why you might say 48-47, yes, because my call, if this was a 3-rounder, I actually was going to probably lean Figgy. Now, maybe Figgy's just not all that at this stage, but he looked good against Cheeto. I thought he looked pretty good against Rob Font, which was his bantamweight debut. Now, the age is a concern because, the flip of a switch, when you're in the lower weight classes, you could just show up looking washed. But I don't think he will. I think he stayed active. He fought. I love this activity from Figgy. He fought December 2023, fought April 2024, fought fucking August 2024, and now he's about to fight November. I like this activity. 3 fights in a year. It's technically going to be 4 fights in the space of less than a year, if you include the Rob Font fight. And I like the activity. With his Petr Yan, he fought Marab 2023 March, and then a whole year off to fight Song Yadong. Plus, he's now injured himself. He had a pretty bad injury. He's pretty dinged up. His groin, he cooked his groin or something like that. That was what I heard. Now, I'm sure he's taking the time to recover, and I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm still picking him. It's not like I'm thinking this injury is going to cost him the fight. Because I do think Petr Yan is just too good on the feet for anyone not named O'Malley. I think O'Malley's the only guy that's not going to just get completely drowned in terms of the stand-up as this fight goes on. But I do think Figgy's got some danger. I could see him dropping Yan or cracking him with something and catching him. He looked good against Cheeto, but Cheeto, the thing is, though, he was like having a kind of a back and forth. He was doing a bit more, being a bit quicker against Cheeto, not just completely schooling him, which I think Jan would. I think if Jan fought Cheeto, he would just use him as a punching bag and beat the fuck out of him. With his Cheeto against Figgy, it was looking kind of back and forth. Figgy was doing a bit more, being a bit quicker, landing the better shots, and then he caught him in the third and looked pretty solid and won the decision. But no, I do think Peter is just a better striker than Figgy. Maybe Figgy can grapple. That's like, I could see, because we've seen Jan kind of try and be a bit of a slow starter, download his reads and all that, download the data, as they say, and then kind of gets just taken down and surprised, like against Aljon, backpacked. I don't think Figgy's quite at that level. Maybe he is. Maybe he can get that body triangle and rack up some rounds. I think if Figgy is going to win this fight as it goes on, I think he could probably steal a round on the feet, but I think if he's going to win the second and third or fourth, something like that, I do think he's going to need to implement grappling, which we just saw Peter Yan against Song Yadong. I rate Song Yadong very highly. I think Song Yadong is going to be like a future title challenger because he's 26 and he's still really good. And we just saw in the second and third, and by the third round, Song looked like he had nothing. Like in the third round against Sandhagen, it was competitive. He was getting outstruck. Third round of other fights, he's winning or whatever. Third round against Jan, he just looked like, what am I meant to do? Like, this guy's just better than me. I can't hit him properly. I can't implement anything. He's just doing what he wants. And I think that's what Jan could end up doing here. Now, Figgy's got that championship experience. He's fought really high-level guys before. But I just think Jan's just a little bit of a step up, and the youth as well. Bit younger, bit quicker, bit more technique. I think Jan's just a little bit better everywhere. Maybe not quite the grappling or the jiu-jitsu, but on the feet, which I think this fight's going to take place mostly in the striking realm. I think Jan's got him covered. So I'm going Jan by 48-47, maybe a 49-46 in their decision. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Figgy win, though, because I was happy to see Jan get back in the win column. But I actually kind of wouldn't mind seeing Figgy get the win and get a title shot up a weight class, which I think he kind of deserves. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next fight. Now, these next two cards also both don't have a main event announced. Now, UFC 310 is what we're talking about here, and I think there's three main possibilities, because I heard an interview from Dana saying, like, wait till you see what we got cooked up for 310, because they were talking about how good the Sphere was and all that. Dana was doing his typical glaze, and they're like, just wait till we see what we got for UFC 310. It's a badass card. We'll be announcing that soon. I think it's one of these three main events. I think it's going to be either Arman versus Islam. I think that's less likely. Either Strickland versus Dricus or Shavkat versus Bilal. Now, I'm trying to think what else would main event a pay-per-view, because we know Connor's not fighting, obviously, unless it's just something completely out of the blue. I don't know what else is going to main event 310. Obviously, it's not going to be... I doubt they get Marab and Umna back in there for December. That just seems unlikely. They're not going to main event Pantoja in a pay-per-view. I think he's more likely to be the co-main. I think we're going to see like an Asakura Pantoja co-main event of whichever main event this is. But I'll just give my predictions for these three. If it was Strickland Dricus, I kind of, like, logic says Strickland, because I just think Strickland has a good style to beat him, but I think Dricus's style is just... I think Dricus has just got too much going for him right now. He's a bit too physical. Now, I do think Strickland has more to take away from the first fight and more improvements, because Dricus is going to do the same thing every time, right? Maybe pushes a bit more grappling, but I think Strickland knows now. Strickland's like, I got to work more on the takedown defense. I got to use my teeth more, keep that jab going, because he was busting him up with a jab. And in hindsight, like, Strickland's the only guy to really have that much success against Dricus. Izzy got finished, Rob got finished, everyone else gets finished apart from Tavares, who just had a bit of a chin in that, who just used his remaining chin in that fight, and then after that he's got KO'd. But Strickland, I think, has a good style to do it. And in America, maybe there's some better judging for him, although he did they almost tried to rob him against Costa. If it is Shavkat versus Bilal, I'm just going to pick Shavkat. I'm not picking Bilal to fucking defend his belt, because if that's the reality we're in, where Bilal's a defending champion, that's just not going to be fun. And if it's Arman Islam, I think Arman is going to lose. I think Islam's just too good from everywhere. I've maintained this. I've said this for a long time with Arman versus Islam compared to Charles versus Islam. I said Arman has a better chance of making like more fights competitive. Like, I think if Arman and Islam fight 10 times, Islam wins 9 out of 10 of them, and they're all kind of pretty competitive. I think if Oliveira fights Islam, I think Oliveira maybe wins 2 or 3 out of the 10, But the ones that Islam wins, he does it impressively and he does it way better and he finishes him. I don't think Islam's going to finish Arman. I think he's just not going to have as good of a chance to win Arman, that is. Because I just don't think he has anything for him in terms of like, I don't think he's a better striker. I don't think he's a better grappler. I don't think he's got better cardio. I don't think like Arman has a significant attribute to utilize in that fight. So I would pick Arman. So I would pick Islam. As I said, I would pick Shavkat against Bilal and I would pick Strickland against Strickers probably by close decision. If it's anything else, again, I'll give a quick reaction and prediction to that when it happens, but I think these are the three main ones. I think you guys would agree. I wouldn't see anything else main eventing. I doubt Aspinall would get a fight in that time. They're not going to rebook Pereira versus someone, I doubt. So yeah, let me know in the comments if I'm missing an obvious fight that could main event 310, but I think these are the three potentials. So yeah, those are my predictions for those fights. Anyway, let's move on to the last card of the year. So UFC Tampa, Florida fight night is going to take place on December 14th, and that is going to be the last card of 2024. I got really no clue what's going to main event this. I've got two options on screen. That's Ian Gary versus Kamaru Usman and Colby versus Gilbert Burns. I think Colby versus Burns is less likely. I don't think Colby's doing a fight night. I doubt he would do that. And honestly, I doubt the UFC would even put Usman and Gary. So these are just two random options. These have no sources telling me anything about this. No clue. Maybe we get like a Gaethje. Maybe they just say fuck it and do Gaethje versus like Dan Hooker. That'd be sick. If they did a fight night main event to end the year between Gaethje and Dan Hooker, fucking sign me up. I would pay money to watch that. Genuinely. Like I would pay money to I'd pay like $20-$30 as like a pay-per-view, like mini pay-per-view. Because they usually make those December fight nights, like the Texas one last year with Arman and like how that was just stacked beyond belief. Like or the Holland Wonderboy one, like they all would have had like fucking Pavlovich and RDA and all these guys, like and Delidzi Hermanson. Like they usually make those December fight nights pretty stacked. And the fact is going to end off the year with a fight night, I think they're going to make it a banger card. So maybe we get a Fiziev versus a Hooker or a Hooker versus Gaethje, or one of these options that I've got here, like an Osman, or an Ian Gary, or a Colby, or a Burns. Because I know Burns, these guys are from Florida. Like, it's in, I think, like, Colby won't shut the fuck up about King of Miami or whatever. It's in Tampa, but still, Florida. Killcliff, I think, I'm not tripping, yeah, Killcliff's in Florida. That's where Burns and Usman and shit train. Ian Gary used to train there, so they could get a bit of a rivalry, like a Killcliff sort of rivalry, and we get a lot of boos for Ian Gary. As far as other options, like I don't think Songadong versus Cejudo or like a Cejudo versus someone would main event, maybe like a Cruz Cejudo, but that just doesn't seem like a fight night main event. That seems more like a pay-per-view main card kind of fight. So I really don't know what else it could be. Maybe like Baralio versus like Izzy, but that's just a random fucking location to put that in Tampa. If you're gonna do Tampa, there's guys with connections to Tampa. It's not like Austin, Texas, where it's like, yeah, which high-level fighters from Austin, Texas? Like, there's a few of them, but not many. But it's like Tampa, there's guys that train there, there's big gyms in Florida. So I'd assume they would go someone with the connections there for the main event. So if it's like an Usman and Gary, I'd probably lean towards Ian Gary at this stage just because I don't think Usman's quite there anymore. I think he's a bit washed, a bit cobbly-wobbly, as Lucas would say. If it's like a Colby Burns, that's close. I think battle of the washed, to be honest. I think like if you got the Colby that fought Woodley against the Burns that fought Brady, I'd obviously pick Colby. I think both of them are kind of cooked, but I'd probably lean Burns. If it's a Hooker versus Gaethje, I honestly kind of think Gaethje might lose because I think his chin's going to be completely cooked. If it's like a Fiziev versus Hooker, I'd probably go Fiziev. So yeah, there's a lot of options for this last main event. I really got no clue what the fuck it's going to be. Let me know in the comments for both the Apex 100 card, UFC 310, and then this card, the mystery main events, you could call them. What's going to main event those cards? But yeah, those are my predictions for each upcoming main event for the rest of 2024. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my predictions or not. Give me yours down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is a pretty long video here. Wanted to just yap for a little bit. You know, I've been doing the funny content and shit, the Diddy parties and all that, talking about all that funny stuff. But sometimes I actually like to prove that I'm an actual MMA fan as well, and just be serious. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. But yeah, that is the video done. Peace out, guys.